So I have a long-standing bone to pick with the world right now. If the average person is 50 to 70% water and needs like 2 to 3 liters of water a day, and I'm using liters because it makes my brain happy. Also, I'm pulling that information from a government website. Then why is it so hard to hydrate? The thing is, I suck at drinking water. From a single digit age, I don't remember ever liking water. In fact, it used to be a joke in our family that me and my mom had Dr. Pepper in our veins because if the option was there, we were drinking Dr. Pepper. It's something about the carbonation, like when you open up a fresh can and you take a sip and you almost tear up because the carbonation is just so good. This went on for so long that one of my closest friends actually gifted me a Dr. Pepper charm. And I have a friend in the Czech Republic that still sends me Dr. Pepper memes to this day. I might be painting this picture that all I drink was Dr. Pepper, but I did drink some water, milk, tea, juice, other drinks. And yes, I know that there's water in food. My problem is if you handed young Sydney a glass of water or a can of Dr. Pepper, the water wouldn't stand a chance. The important takeaway is that I drink a tiny amount of water in comparison with other beverage options because I had not developed a habit of water first. This became especially apparent whenever I became an adult and started living on my own. For health reasons, I realized I probably should be drinking water more often and moderating my intake of other options. But that was truly difficult for me to stick to. And I don't think I'm alone in this problem, but other people seem to have it down. Like the people that habitually carry their water bottle and remember to actually drink out of it. Then there was that whole water talk thing that happened a couple of years ago and kind of went crazy, and I'm sure it's still going strong. Part of my problem is that I don't consistently like water at certain temperatures. Sometimes I want refrigerated water. Sometimes I want iced water, which is different. Sometimes I want room temperature water, and on a rare occasion, I might want hot water. There's also inconsistency with the flavor. The best water that I have ever had was actually at the summer camp that I went to for years and then eventually worked at. Something about it was just right, and it was only made better by the pellet ice that they used to have. But even then, I still struggled with the hydration demands of being outdoors in the middle of summer in Texas. I've also been to and lived in places where the water tasted terrible, which didn't do anything to help. Weirdly enough, for a long time, I didn't think that a Brita or anything that would filter water would actually do anything to help the flavor. But several years ago at this point, my mom actually ended up having an idea, so she suggested that I try adding flavor to water. Specifically the ones that you would get at the store and you would just squirt into like a regular water bottle. And those for me either end up having just a whisper of flavor, which I actually find more annoying than just drinking plain water, or they're like oversaturated with flavor. So it's hard to find a middle ground. Later, I tried flavored sparkling waters, which actually did work out for a little while. There were certain flavors that I liked consistently, so that's what I would buy at the store. And just to be clear, this was just at the time that you started hearing about LaCroix and Bubbly, and like those hadn't really felt like household brands yet. I was literally just buying like the clear plastic bottles that you can find at most stores that have generic flavors like cherry and kiwi strawberry or pineapple. And the crazy thing was is that this actually worked for me for several months. I would actually keep track of how much water I was drinking because those bottles, the clear ones, they're a certain size, and I would just go through so many in a day, and I developed a habit of drinking them. And this was actually working decently well until the day it didn't. After months of the same flavors over and over again. And this was a time where there weren't many flavors to choose from. And out of those flavors, only a few I actually liked. I started to realize that they left this weird aftertaste in my mouth. And over time, it was annoying enough that I couldn't stomach it anymore. At some point later on, I connected the dots and realized that the weird aftertaste was actually aspartame. It was a really common sweetener in a lot of flavored waters and like low calorie drinks. Other flavored like carbonated waters at the time didn't really taste great to me, so I ended up pivoting. Maybe I could drink plain water if it was in a cool cup. So I looked around, and this was the time when those giant water bottles with like the different time period markings were starting to get really popular to mark your progress through each hour of drinking water. So I got one of those and promptly realized that I didn't stick to the progress markers like at all. This is also the time that Water Talk was blowing up and people were starting to give their recommendations and making concoctions of the flavors that you should try. And I ended up trying some of the packaged water powders, the ones that were supposed to like change the flavor to different things. Like I think I had one that was Starburst. And to me, even with a giant thing of water and a small packet, it still ended up being overpowered. Then I got into the brand name water bottles thinking that surely if I spent a decent amount of money on it, the guilt from having spent that money would encourage me to use it. To be fair, I did actually use my Camelback for a while, but I can't say the same thing for my Hydro Flask. I skipped the Stanley craze and I did get a Brita, but that's primarily for use like at home. I will say I do like my Owala, but as I mentioned earlier, I consistently forget that it exists. Like I could be at work and I will have brought it in with me, I set it on my desk, and then suddenly it just becomes background. There's also something about a water bottle with a straw or an intricate locking system that kind of triggers this weird thought in my head where I'm like, did I clean this correctly? Like what if mold or harmful bacteria is just like in there and I didn't get it? That seems kind of dangerous. Maybe I shouldn't drink out of a water bottle. This is where my mind goes. So again, I'm at a loss for what to do until I realized that I had missed the point entirely. It wasn't the bottles, it wasn't the temperature, it wasn't the flavor. I still hadn't broken my preference for soda, and I still hadn't been drinking enough consistently. I had spent years trying to change the way I drank water without stopping to consider why I preferred soda instead. And what do I like about soda? The carbonation. And what was the most successful I had been at drinking water this entire time? When I was drinking the flavored soda water. It all hit me one night. I was on my monthly commute to Dallas and happened to stop at a gas station. And I was thirsty. Regular water didn't sound appealing to me, and soda sounded too sweet. So I went for a mix, plain sparkling water. And while I was at it, I noticed that they had a liter version that was a decent price. So I went ahead and bought that. And I drank it so quickly. Turns out I had just stumbled into the thing that's been working for me and killed 3 birds with 1 stone. Sparkling water, 1, is water, 2, hits my craving for carbonation, and 3, goes flat so quickly that it actually encourages fast hydration. After years of trying to make myself like water, I realized that I never really disliked water, I just loved carbonation more. And just to clarify, I do drink plain water too. I actually found a liter water bottle that I carry around and use that for supplementing when I'm not drinking carbonated water. But overall, the carbonated water just makes everything a little bit more bearable. And who knows if this will last long term, or if in a couple of months or years, I might have to figure out another method. But for now, this is what's working for me. So now I'm curious. Do you also struggle with drinking water? What's the weird thing that you've found that helps? Do you live in a place that the water is so good that you don't even need a hack? Let me know in the comments below. If you liked this and are interested in going on more mental tangents with me, feel free to like and subscribe. And that way you can get notified whenever I post. Until then,